I'm Davey Wavey, creator of Himeros.tv, and I am joined by sex coach Finn Deerhart and my best friend Matthew Thomas. And today we're talking about voyeurism. So, can you see me now? Can you see me now? Is this thing on? I'm here all week, guys. Buy your tickets. All right. Himeros Live is sponsored by Himeros, the erotic website to enhance your experience of sex and sexuality. Created by Davey Wavey, we upload erotic videos to help you have the best sex of your life. And then we discuss them on this podcast. Go to himeros.tv/pod to save 20% off your membership, which is as little as 40 cents per day. You'll get instant access to our erotic library of life-changing, soul-nourishing, hole-quenching, cock-throbbing videos that inspire deeper connections, sexual exploration, and increased pleasure. Visit himeros.tv/pod and save 20%. Hey, Matt and Finn.
Hey,
Long time no see. How are you guys?
Hey.
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. What is new with you two beautiful men?
Finn, you go first. What's new?
I'm very busy. I'm loving that. I'm filming a series for queer men and boyfriends to put the fuck back in their relationship.
Love it.
Yeah.
What is it called?
It's called Put the Fuck Back in Your Relationship.
That's such a good title.
Yeah, getting ready for an event on the 25th for guys too. It's called Love and Lust for Queer Men, and it's going to be a Flavors of Desire journey, guided journey where we take them through each of the different kinds of desire that they experience. And
what does that mean, like the different flavors of desire?
Yeah, we experience all kinds of different versions of our sexual desire. There's like this animalistic, instinctual sex for sex sake, just bodies, fluids. That's like a primal kind of experience, and then we have like a sensual side that likes to give and receive. And
how would you guide someone through a primal flavor?
Well,
like are they like eating a steak while they're
it depends on the workshop. So there's different levels of like, you know, if beginners, it's like, you know, do hugs with them. Like you can kind of aspect these different parts from hugs, or they can kind of grind around and they can take clothes off a little bit. And then there's like full on like tantric ritual where it's like you make love from each one of these places on your body, and it's pretty beautiful.
Matt, someday we need to go to one of these workshops.
Yeah.
I want to try one. I would.
Yeah. I mean, you can really literally do this with a friend, just playing around and hugging. It doesn't even have to be super explicit, or you can go explicit with it. But, you know, there's like the heart kind of desire to make love and dissolve with each other. And then there's like your fiery kind of sexual passion flavor that's like boundaries and BDSM. And so a lot of us have these different channels that we connect with a boyfriend in, and it might be a really familiar channel and then feel kind of frustrated that we can't get the other parts of ourselves met. And it's often, you know, just like a role that we play. So these videos are to help guys open up and figure out how they connect and bring all those different notes to the table.
We're coming. Matt and I are coming. Where do we sign up?
Do you have anything where you're teaching people about like being more dom or being more submissive, or have you ever done anything like that?
I'm not teaching not how-tos. You mean like how to do this or how to do that? Not so much. It's more, I teach a lot around like getting in touch with that part of the self, and like guys that are kind of like scared of it, like men that are like, I want it, but I'm kind of afraid of it. And then coaching into like, well, why?
Equally important. Yeah. We'll talk offline. Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk.
So Matt, what's new with you? Also, where's your microphone?
My microphone?
Yeah.
It's not on?
No, it's on. I don't see it.
Oh.
Is it nearby?
She is.
Oh, yeah, okay. Keep it a little closer to you. You sound so far away.
Sorry. Not too much. I mean, I'm actually applying to a couple of new jobs. I've had a couple of interviews this week, so I may be moving again pretty soon. And this week I'm in Schenectady, New York. Have you ever been? Ever heard of it?
I got snowed in Schenectady, New York when I was driving Nick, my ex-boyfriend, back to Toronto.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was in Schenectady. It was in the Stardust Motel, and I had my dog, and they said that they didn't have any rooms that were dog friendly, and then I offered them $10, and they were like, well, in that case, here you go. They gave me a key.
Wow.
I had the best pizza of my life in Schenectady, though.
Where was that?
Like, as if you're going to eat pizza anyway.
I am. I haven't had dinner yet.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, so much for that.
I'm sure I found it on Yelp. So, well, that's all very exciting news. I had a busy week. Last few days have been really crazy. I think I had mentioned maybe last week or 2 weeks ago that we were pre-recording last week's episode because I was on a tantric retreat for porn stars. So before we get into this week's video about voyeurism, I would love to dive into that retreat a little bit in the experience. And I know you guys have some questions, but as kind of a synopsis for people at home, we had 4 models, 4 porn stars. It was like really kind of well-known, great porn stars, 2 tantric coaches, and then there were 2 film crews. One that created documentaries about the experience, and then one crew who created like really hot erotic videos that we will be posting on Himeros.tv, and then at some point discussing on this podcast. And Brad Amberhart was one of the coaches, one of the facilitators. And in previous episodes, we've talked about tapas, like the container that you build. And the container that we built around this retreat was no alcohol, weed, or performance enhancing drugs, no Viagra, none of that stuff. No cell phone use. And these are guys who are like constantly on Instagram, Twitter, like it's like part of their job. The models all stayed on site at the retreat center. And during the day we did like workshops with them, and then we filmed videos based on those workshops. So that was kind of the container that we built. It also happened to be like one of the days it was like 106 degrees. I mean, there's no air conditioning. Like it was really intense. It literally felt like a pressure cooker. Like you put all of these like powder keg of like elements together, seal it in and cook it. Like that's what it felt like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds really awesome. I love the container.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all Brad's creation. And I think like, I don't know, we've really been struggling with the role that like drug use plays. And a lot of, I don't think it's like a surprise to anyone that a lot of the porn industry is very like marijuana centric. And, here in California, like marijuana is legal and you can go to a dispensary and you can buy it. And on previous shoots, we've kind of like, it's almost seemed like the guys have really gathered around like the desire for marijuana, it becomes almost like the campfire in a way.
Yeah.
And then like the smoking of the marijuana. And for me, I'm really excited about the quality of the product that like videos that we've created. And I don't know if marijuana helps like facilitate that, or if it, if it calms models down or makes people relax, or if it's a hindrance to it, that we could have an even better concepts or even better videos. So this was kind of an experiment to see what it's like when you take marijuana out.
Did you think the work was more productive throughout, aside from the actual session and taping itself, just what was happening in between and getting them into the shoot and getting ready? Was it more productive, or since you took those things away?
Yeah, it was tough because there were so many other variables at play. So I think that the heat made people a little bit more sluggish, and maybe a little bit like shorter fuses. The interesting thing was that like it definitely reduced the amount of marijuana, but people still, I'm not gonna police people, and people still made the decision to smoke. They kind of did it discreetly, but it was interesting to me too. Like, okay, if you're asked for 4 days not to, use marijuana, and you can't, then that should also maybe like, just kind of hold a mirror up to yourself and be like, oh, okay. Like, what role does marijuana play in my life? Yeah.
I think, it can definitely calm people's nervous system down, but it's like a reliance on that. Sometimes I feel like substances, they force our hand in a way, like can help us like circumvent something where we're awkward or feel uncomfortable, or just kind of especially cannabis can really put you in a state of a body sensation kind of spot. But if we slow down and just relax. It sounds like they got high kind of on just the connection with each other, and it creates the same thing. And that's what we want. It's just the just being in our bodies, you know?
Yeah, Brad said something about that. He said, like, you know, the reason we're not using marijuana here is because we're exploring like very like naturally altered mind states, and also doing weed can mask some of the like nuanced mind states that we're looking to explore. So
wow. I'd be really, really interested to hear about their experiences, the models around what it was like to do it without the help of the substance versus, you know, when they're able to on sets.
Yeah, I think a much bigger factor was the no cell phones, because on so many sets, I think it's such a distraction to look at like scene partners and one of them's like on their phone rather than like connecting with each other. And on this set, like, because they didn't have their phones, it really created this strong bond between all the models. So if you were off camera, you were hanging out with another model, and like, I think that really brought the guys together, and that chemistry I think showed in the video. So there's some really hot. Also, people keep telling me they want. Well, people keep saying they want more cum in the videos, and we're trying to find ways to do that still are
without pressure.
yeah, and I also don't want to be like, all right, you guys, like, we need 2 cum shots in this video, and but man, I'll tell you, there was a lot of cum in this. One video has like 5 or 6 cum shots in it.
Oh wow!
I mean, they couldn't keep it inside them.
Well, it sounds like they were really high on the connection that they were having.
Yeah, girl, it was like a fucking oasis in the desert. It was like this shit was just flowing. and I didn't come for, I think, 10 days. They were like coming by proxy for me.
Nice.
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't miss like 1 or 2 days without jerking off, and to go 10 days meant that like the erotic energy was like, I didn't feel blocked at all.
Yeah, you're really feeding. There's so many ways. Yeah, I mean, energetic orgasms feel really feeding, and sometimes I'll have like that kind of orgasm and not come, and I just feel like, well, I feel complete now.
Yeah.
And I don't need to. And I was curious, do either of you guys ever intentionally just say, I'm not going to come for a few days and see how many ways I can, I don't use, I kind of like the word torture, but it's like bring myself to a heightened state and then back off, and do that over and over again, and just find really creative ways to keep revving up your engine?
Oh yeah. I mean, there are times where I will, I guess, what's it called? Edge myself.
Yeah.
Where I actually won't do it.
Yeah.
And I'll let that go on for like at most a day or 2, and then I'll finally do it. But then, yeah, too, I've just not done it at all for like a couple of days, and it's so much more intense, and you're so much more into what's going on when you wait a while.
Yeah.
If I know that I'm gonna like hook up with someone or see someone, I'll try to like not come until I'm with them. So romantic.
That's so good for you.
I really have a hard time like holding it in generally. So this was a rare event for me. This was also this retreat was also the first time that we've really heavily involved the models in like the video creation process. So like, you know, we have these really elaborate concepts that like Finn and I, for example, work on for these videos, and for this retreat, we left some of them pretty open-ended, which was scary as like the producer of this content, because you want to know what everything's going to be before you go into it, because you're spending all this money and time. And one of the concepts, for example, was that Calvin Banks, one of the models we worked with, was riding his bike across the desert, which we got like beautiful drone shots of him riding his bike through the sand. And then he gets to this like old vintage trailer in the middle of the desert, and he opens the door, and that's as far as the script went. Like, we did a whole workshop where the models decide what happens next. He opens the door. What does he see? And, you know, I could have written like, he finds like some guy waiting ass up for him, and something about the anonymity of sex. You know, like we could have done something with that, but instead we explored the dreams that guys were having and what they were feeling. And Calvin the night before had a dream where he saw his ex-boyfriend, who he still feels a really strong connection with, having sex with someone else, and it was like really difficult for him, and like a lot came up, and someone else had a dream about like being in a video game where they just like kept completing the same level like over and over again, and so we're kind of discussing all this, and we ended up creating this video where Calvin opens the door. It's a trailer. And first he sees his boyfriend. His boyfriend brings him in and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And his boyfriend says, "Well, you know, of course I'm here. Like, you think about me all the time." And they have sex, and they make out and like blow each other, I think. And then just as Calvin's about to orgasm, his eyes close, and then he's going through the desert again, gets to the trailer, opens the door. This time the boyfriend's in there having sex with someone else. And he's like, "I don't want to see this. Like, I don't want to watch this." And his boyfriend's like looking at him and like gesturing to him. And Calvin watches and starts to get like aroused by it and feels like this really like hot, like, oh, this is kind of this cathartic moment of release. And then his eyes open again and he's going through the desert to the trailer. This time he opens the door and it's just a mirror, just like a single floor length mirror. And so he sees himself and he jerks off and says, "I love you. I love you." So, I mean, that's a fucking cool concept. And it's based on what these models were actually experiencing.
It's, you know, when I hear that, it's like you're wanting them to display authenticity, and by doing by bringing in more of themselves so that they get to like perform less and be more expressed, you know?
Yeah. And you should have seen the way that these models lit up when we were like, "What do you guys want to do?" Mm-hmm. And suddenly, like, to involve them in the creation process, they like all had lots of ideas, and you're not forcing them to do any, like, it suddenly becomes this really cool flow. So I think for me, the biggest takeaway was that on future projects, I really want to engage the models in the content that we create.
I was going to ask what your biggest takeaway was, actually. Yeah. So, but what about personally, for you personally, were you affected in any kind of way by the content or the learnings there?
I was most affected by one of the facilitators who was on Himeros Live last week was is an 84-year-old tantric instructor named Norm. So we did a lot of content around age. And as someone that's like 35 and like, you know, getting older and like understanding that my body's, you know, going to be changing. And as someone who identifies a lot with their body, it's kind of this ongoing conversation with myself of how, if you identify strongly with the way you look, what happens when the way you look changes. And we did quite a bit of content around that, which was felt very personal. And it was interesting to, I don't know, I feel like I really stretched some of my own boundaries, even just creating the content, not participating in it. And I think when people see those videos that we created around age, I think it's going to be really triggering for people. And I think there'll be a lot of conversations. I think it'll be a good thing to.
Yay.
When can we expect those?
Well, I saw the rough cut for the first one today, so probably within a few weeks we'll be chatting about them. Stay tuned.
Wow.
So anyway, any other burning questions about the retreat, or should we dive into this?
Let's dive into the video.
Yeah. All right. So this week's video is titled "The Watched Part 1, and it features Wyndham Gold and Blake Turner. In the video, we get to see Blake and Wyndham against a larger window with the skyline in the background. It's very dark and shadowy, and the sex that the guys have is in front of the window, and the sex is hot. It's pretty intense. All right, I'm gonna say this. I met Blake, who's the bearded guy that's in it, the top, as a Grindr hookup, like many, many, many months ago. No idea that he did porn or was potentially, like, we just met to have sex, and like he did me right. Like, let's just say that. he did me right. Like the dick was good, the connection was good, and he did Wyndham right. I feel like in this video, I feel like that theme was carried on, and also I do want to say that I don't use Grindr as an audition tool for Himeros. Just put that out there. But I was also like, when we were going to be filming in Toronto, which is where we shot this video, I was like, how can I not like reach out to him to be in this? And I remember when we were filming it, Brad Amberhart, the tantric coach, he was like, man, like he's fucking Wyndham like a barnyard dog. I feel like that's true.
I love that's true. Stuff that Brad says like that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the Southern boy in me.
So I'm curious though with you guys, like in the sex that's depicted, obviously there's a whole voyeurism theme, which we'll get into, but the sex itself, oftentimes when we portray sex on Himeros, it's very like connected and like eye contact. This was not that. This was like bend over and take my dick. So I guess my question is for you guys, like, was that hot for you? Do you feel like it should have been more like softer and intimate? Like, or is there a time and a place to just get banged deep and hard?
Yes. Yes.
This queen.
I mean, we were just talking about the flavors of desire, like that. That's the thing. Like they were, and just because he's bending over and taking it doesn't mean he's not connected. So I think that they actually seem very connected, and that's one of my favorite ways to take it. But I think it matters what you're saying to yourself on the inside, or like how connected you are to yourself with what you're doing. And I thought that they seemed really connected.
How did you feel, Matt?
Oh, I thought they were very connected. But I think there's a time and place for everything. I don't think you always need to be gazing into each other's eyes. No, sometimes you just want to bend somebody over and have your way with them. And that is hot. I think that this video, for me, though, more than looking at it as, wow, like the sex is hot, I just appreciated it for what it was, like artistically, just the angles, the lighting. I liked the music. And at some point, like, I think that they were like slowing down while they were fucking, and like seeing how like their bodies like vibrate and just like their thighs move, their ass move. Like I enjoyed all of that. I was just like, huh, this is different. I've never seen this before. I like this. So I was more focused on all of that than just, oh wow, this is hot sex.
Yeah, I thought the cool thing was like, and it was actually really difficult to find this location, but that you can see all the apartments in the background and like the lights are on. And I mean, obviously it does play into voyeurism, because watching it, you can't help but think like, are any of those people watching? Are they like peeping out of their windows and like, do they know what's going on? And there were a lot of like places that were completely within eyesight. And as we were filming it, I kept getting like goosebumps thinking about like, ooh, who's watching? Do you guys have any experience with like voyeurism, either as like the watch or the watcher, that you would want to share? Finn clearly does. Take it away, girl. What do you got?
Well, I mean, which side of things? I mean, yes, and since I've been a little kid, I always, my parents didn't talk to me about sex. It was just like this hush hush thing that I developed around with my friends, and I used to on purpose go looking in windows when I was a kid. And one of the first experiences I ever had was I was in an alleyway, and some couple was having sex in their house with their window open and their blinds were down, but I could just hear everything. And I was so turned on outside the window listening to them. And ever since then, it's like when I still, like, honestly, when I walk by a hotel or so, I just wonder like how many people are, having sex in there. Like I'll kind of scan the windows sometimes to see, because I know it's going on. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that. I do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Matt, what about you?
I would totally watch. I don't think I've ever had the desire to want to be watched, but I mean, I spend so many nights in hotels, as you know, like there's so many times where I hear people having sex. And I'm not going to lie, it turns me on. Like I think I'm not horny, and then I hear someone above me or next to me having sex. You hear the bed, they're loud, and it's like, oh, let me rub one out real quick. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you ever see them? Like, do you ever see it through the window?
No, but there are some times where it's like I hear their door open and I'd like run to the door. I'm like, what do you look like? I just jerked off to listening to the two of you. What do you look like? I have to know.
Yeah. It's I don't like being watched. Like I find that really uncomfortable, but I love watching. I guess it's kind of ironic because like a lot of people are watching us like through this podcast and my YouTube channel, but also we're in control of that. Like we get to make that decision. It's also funny because my YouTube channel like started as a result of voyeurism. I saw my neighbor masturbating in Toronto and I made a video about it. It was like my 8th video on YouTube. And that's what put my channel on the map. Like millions of people apparently search for masturbating neighbors on YouTube. And that's how like my entire career was launched. The other thing that's kind of cool is, and this wasn't by coincidence, is that like that video that I created about my masturbating neighbor 11 years ago on YouTube was filmed just a few blocks from where we filmed this. So it's kind of this like full circle voyeurism moment in Toronto, the same city that like it all started in. Also, I actually Googled voyeurism to see if it's illegal. And apparently if it's illegal if you record images of someone that has a reasonable expectation to privacy.
Right.
So like you couldn't install like a camera in a bathroom to like watch guys piss. However, have you ever seen that genre of porn on the internet?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that in real life?
Like a camera in a bathroom?
Or just been that guy? I've actually, if someone has put a camera on me in a bathroom before, and it felt violating.
Yeah. Do you think those are real, those videos that are out there, or do you think it's like actors doing it?
I think they're real.
Oh, really?
I would bet everything that they're real. And I say that because when I was in the closet when I was younger, I used to hang out in this bathroom at the University of Texas, and there's so much that went down in there, so much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put it out there that that's like deeply violating and very wrong to
video somebody.
Yeah. I also have jerked off like watching that content. Yeah. Okay, we'll just let that sit there. Getting back to our video, I love the cum shot in this video. So people will be happy there's cum in it.
And then he puts his dick in his mouth after it was inside him. I really think that's intimate too. To me, it is. I mean, maybe other people may not think that's intimate, but I feel very intimate about doing that. So
what would they think it is?
I mean, some people I think just like it and might want to do it because they're into it. But for me, it means it's very intimate to do that.
I thought you were going to say some people would think it's just fucking nasty.
Well, some people think that too. I mean, I've said that before. I've admitted that before, and someone's like, "Oh," I was like, "Well, it was inside my ass, whatever." It's like, I'm clean
at that point.
Yeah. I think straight people like, because whenever I show the trailer for Himeros TV to like any of my like straight relatives, I showed my cousin, and every time there was a butt and like something touching the butt, whether it was a tongue or a finger, she was like repulsed by it. Like, she like recoiled back each time. So I'm like, girl, you don't know what you're missing. Come on. Yeah. So no, that has this really hot cum shot, and he like pulls out of the guy's butt and just like comes all over Wyndham's face, and it's like in slow motion. It's just like dripping down in globs and like catching in the light.
I think it's kind of for me, the reason I said this, that it's intimate is for me, it's kind of a worshipful act. It's like saying like, hey, I'm like praising him, you know, like you just made me feel amazing. And this dick made me feel amazing. And so it's a continuation of like adoration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's your church services, girl.
It is.
All right.
I'm very devoted. I'm devoted.
You guys have any other thoughts about this video? Because otherwise we're going to get to some questions.
I liked it. I liked also it being a switch up there's no dialogue, and it's just kind of it was silent and watching almost. It had like a dreamlike quality.
Yeah. I will also say that next week's video is like obviously it's part 2 of this.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I shared with you guys like what that entails, but there's a flip side to this video. And like I don't want to spoil what it is, but it's really hot.
Same models.
Let's just say that someone was in fact watching them have sex.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And
we'll leave it at that.
They were alone. Okay. So awesome. Let's dive into these questions. Now, for folks at home, if you want us to answer your question on Himeros Live, then send it to me, Davey Wavey, at Davey, D-A-V-E-Y, at daveywavey.tv. People have a really hard time with the email address. I'm going to say it one more time. It's Davey at daveywavey.tv. Literally the easiest fucking email address in the world. But people, like, if I have to repeat it over the phone, they're like, Davey at Gravy Wavy. Like, people just can't. .tv as in television. Okay, that's it. All right.
It's a lot of phonetics that have a similar tone to them.
Davey at daveywavey.tv. Yeah. People also, it's Davey, Wavey. People struggle with where the A's and the E's are, and there's no Z's in it. People like to place those in there. Anyway, question number 1. I'm contemplating abstaining from sex for a TBD period of time, maybe about 6 months. I don't have a horrible relationship to sex or anything, but many of my friends have just left New York City, and I'm going to be moving into a new apartment in November. I've taken a new job, so I'm kind of feeling like starting over across the board, which has inspired me to look at how I treat sex in my life and how I use my sexual energy. I feel like I give it away in ways that don't serve me or the other person. Recently, I've been proactive about expressing to guys in person or on apps that I want to make sure we hang out. Excuse me, that was a burp. Before having sex, but now I'm thinking about taking a serious time out. I'm wondering if there's any literature or helpful tools that could help me clarify exactly what I'm looking for to get out of the dick fast. They hashtagged that, like fasting of the dick. I'm not sure what it's about obtaining from just intercourse. I'm not sure if it's about any kind of ejaculation with another man, ejaculation with myself. I'm not really sure what to do. I guess it would be great to learn from other people on how or why they did it and what they learned in the process. So that's a verbose question there. Let's in the future keep them to 30 words or less. I'm just kidding.
Wait, so just he said he wanted to do it. He's doing it because he wants to have more connected sex? Was that part of it? Is that
I think it was part of it, like to examine the relationship that this person has with sex and how it. Yeah. It's a long question. We need a summary of the question.
I was like, wait, what?
I get the sense that, I have to say, I met my partner in a period of time where I was doing just that, just taking like a break from it, because I'd had a lot of traumatic experiences in a short amount of time in myself for various reasons, a past boyfriend and sexual experiences that I didn't like either. And so I had a moment where I was like, what am I doing? I just need to pause. And I think because of that, I met him and wasn't looking for that. And it shifted my whole perspective. Like, I started hanging out with him, and it was different than I'd hang out with other guys in the past, where I was like sex first and then get to know him. I actually was just like, well, we can't have sex right now. I'm not having sex. And then it developed into this amazing relationship. So that
do you think if you did have sex that maybe the relationship wouldn't have happened?
I don't know. It was like a couple of months that we waited. It wasn't like, forever, but it just, instead of it being the first interaction, and I think what it means for me is like, if that was what I was looking for, I might have chosen somebody different to do that with. And when I met him, I felt like he was special, and I really felt connected to him, and it brought up a lot of vulnerability. So I didn't want to just throw that in the mix first. I was just more interested in getting to know him before I brought that back out.
Yeah.
It was good for me, and I love him, and we have amazing sex.
Yeah.
So.
It's so funny that you say that, because this guy that I've been dating, we're in the same thing right now. It just kind of happened, and we have not had sex yet. We've done some other stuff, but we've both agreed that sex is not on the table for a while. And it's probably one of the best dynamics with another guy that I think I've ever had. And we focus on everything else, and we kind of are growing to that point. It's been really good.
Yeah. Let the anticipation build. It's like,
oh yeah,
like morning.
Because when you take sex off the table, it really makes you stop and think, well, okay, well, we have to focus on this connection around everything else and not just sex and what happens in the bedroom. And, you know, for some people, I think you realize, okay, what am I really here for? What am I really looking for? Can I really do this with someone? Do I really want a relationship, or am I really just looking to have fun?
Totally.
6 months feels really long. I think
what's the longest you've gone without having sex in your life, you think? Well, I mean, from when you started having sex, obviously.
I mean, like probably a couple weeks. Ooh, I just felt very judged.
By whom?
Yeah.
I don't know, myself, the spirit world. I don't know, someone did.
Jesus.
The people listening at home. Yeah. Jesus
no, Jesus doesn't judge.
Yeah, 6 months. 6 months feels like a long time. Like I think this is I'm all about having experiments and like seeing how they go. My ex-boyfriend and I did an experiment where we were monogamous for 3 months. Side note, it was horrible. I hated it. But like I learned that when I'm not having sex, I have no creative energy. Like I feel trapped. Like for me, it's such a way to express myself. It's like a way for me to be free. And so I don't think I would have needed like 6 months to teach me that. I think I would have known that after like several weeks, maybe a month or something. But
everybody's so different, you know? I mean, it sounds like he's asking questions that are really important. Like, why am I doing this? What does it mean for me? I mean, I just kind of think he's on the right track and looking at himself. And
I think it's a great time. He's saying he's making some changes in his life and it's a new start. So it's a time to examine things. But
I think I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, like, it's you can also very easily balance sex, dating, work, whatever is going on in your life. So I don't know.
I would say, like, if anything, he needs to take away this time constraint and just focus on his goal and be present and just let whatever happen. You know, why at 6 months does he think that he's going to discover something that, to Dave's point, he could very well figure out in a couple of weeks? I think he just be open and realize, okay, I don't want to have sex, and just kind of let that unfold and see what happens. But as far as like actual tips or things to read or things to do, Finn, you know more about that than I think either one of us would.
There's a really awesome book you could read called The Erotic Mind by Jack Morin, and it's about our peak experiences in sexuality, why we have them, how we form our erotic blueprints, and what things mean to us, and that would be a great place to start. It's pretty cool.
All right, let's take things down a few notches with question number 2. When you're bottoming, what's your favorite thing to do to the top?
Squeeze.
Yeah, wait, is that your answer?
No, my answer is like let him know. Really? Yeah, clinch.
Yeah, this Blake Turner in this video. I almost called him by his real name. When we had sex, that's why I like squeezed my way down his dick, and like his eyes just rolled back into. It transported him. Girl, it was like teleporting in Star Trek. He went to another universe. Okay, now I'm ready for your deep answer. Go ahead.
I love it. No, I don't. It's deep. Deep. I was just gonna say, let him know how much you love it. Like, I like to challenge myself on how much I can express. So when I'm getting fucked, I like to, like push my own boundaries around like making sounds, telling him what I love about it, letting my body just be like floppy or whatever, you know, however that's actually showing up in the moment, but like really just letting myself show him how blissful I feel. Yeah. Which makes it hotter anyway, because then he gets all like, oh yeah. And it just feeds the scene. So I think I really kind of feel like a lot of times the top is like portrayed a lot in culture that he's the power, but I honestly believe the bottom has a lot of power, because the bottom is hurting or isn't liking it, or yeah, it's in his court to kind of hold the scene too. So it's an equal sharing.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 3. I would like to hear more of how couples can invite guests without getting to the jealousy part. I would love to have threesomes with my husband, but he is so not open to it. It would be interesting to see real life couples doing it for the first time and also discussing the pros and cons. What do you guys think? So I would say watch the video that I posted on my YouTube channel this week, which is a real life couple doing a gay erotic film for the first time, and what that experience was like for them and how it impacted their relationship with each other and what they learned from it. Because they really had well, I mean, I think every couple is going to be different, but they had some really interesting thoughts on it. So I would say start there. I learned a new word over the retreat, which Finn, I was telling you earlier, you were laughing at me, compersion.
Yeah.
It's probably big in San Francisco, huh?
It is culturally indexed to certain scenes. Yeah. But I love that word.
Let me see if I can get like a Google definition of it. I'm not going to do it. Compersion. I wasn't even spelling it correctly. Compersion definition. Okay. It is the feeling of joy one has experiencing another's joy, such as witnessing a toddler's joy and feeling joy. That's not where. Or the feeling of joy associated with seeing a loved one love another, contrasted with jealousy.
Right. You know, I have to say, the operative part of this question to me is like him saying without jealousy. And I would say, oh, that's your gateway into this whole discussion, because clearly the jealousy is there and that's okay. But it needs to be talked about. So if you're going to stay together with him, you know, I would recommend, there's all kinds of awesome books out there you can find, but also just maybe doing it with a coach or a therapist where you can have those conversations, because the jealousy part of it really exists. We can't just banish that and say, oh, this, you know, and go on with the day. So if you love each other and you want to open up, you can totally do that successfully by making space to hear each other and have help with a facilitator.
So that would get to like, well, where's this jealousy coming from? Like,
yeah, like why am I feeling jealous? Well, I mean, we've all felt jealous, and it's a universal feeling. And I feel jealous whenever I'm not feeling good about myself, or if I'm afraid and I have abandonment issues coming up, or, you know, and those things need to be aired out in the relationship. And I promise that if you do and you stay with each other, that those will make your sex hotter anyway, because you feel more connected and you love each other more.
Yeah, that sounds like a really smart place to start. And I think like once the ball gets rolling, you can also discuss like what this scene would look like if you had a third person, and like, and finding the right person and what the boundaries are, and like maybe you decide you're gonna hook up with someone that you all never see again, or you know, like there's a lot of variables that you can play and like frameworks that you can put into place.
Yeah, but by acknowledging it and making it safe to feel jealous, then you get to actually bring to the table like both of your creative inputs. Like, well, how can we work with this then?
So compersion, COMPURSION.
Just like a toddler.
All right. Well, that's all for this week's episode. Next week, we'll talk about the watched part 2. Is that correct? That's correct. And I think I will have a special guest for that. I have to look at the schedule. In the meantime, make sure you join us on Himeros.tv with a 20% discount at Himeros.tv/pod. That's POD. Rhymes with God. Matt's choking. You okay, girl?
I'm good.
Himeros.tv/pod. Finn, where can people get more of you?
FinnDeerhart.com, FinnDeerhart, and queerconnect.love.
Why doesn't your heart have an HEART? Why is it just HART?
Because I thought that was a play on, because a heart is also like an English word, an old English word for a deer. So it's like deer.
A doe, a deer. He's a queer.
Yeah.
And where can people sign up for that workshop?
They should go
specifically, where can Matt and I sign up for this workshop?
Well, you can go to FinnDeerhart.com, and you're talking about Love and Lust for Queer Men. It's in San Francisco, and you go to findyourheart.com, and there's an event page there where you can find that.
She's busy.
Mm-hmm.
She's got events.
And we do that every couple of months, sometimes every month, that event. So there's opportunities.
Nice. Well, thank you all both for being here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for hosting.
No, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening to the let's say bitter end, to the sweet end. And as always, more to come.
Mm-hmm.